now you're gonna jump.
What's going on, guys? Zach from Overland Zam, and today we took our Jeep Club out to Sycamore Creek. This trail has a little bit of everything from nice articulation rock crawls, up and downhill descents, and even some water crossings that you'll see. This trail is a lot of fun and as difficult or easy as you want to make it. Every one of us got some battle scars that we're all wearing proudly on our Jeeps. We also witnessed a wicked recovery at one of the hardest spots on the trail, so stay tuned to see how that went. After a short drive on a gravel road, you come up to your first optional obstacle, which is this hill here. As we all know, the camera never does any kind of angles justice, and this hill looks pretty steep on camera. When you're going up, you have to be extremely cautious because you can't see anything that's up there. So we lined up and waited, and here we go. Abe, rocking his JK, was the first to go. He was extremely eager, and he drove all the way from Mexico, a 9-hour drive, just to wheel with us. After him, Jake lined up in his JL UR, just as eager as Abe was to get up that hill. Finally, it was my turn to tackle the hill, and it was cake. I was in 4 high, no lockers or anything, even though Bob is perfectly equipped. In a later video, I'll go over our build sheet for Bob, as well as different modifications that we've used to make him more trail-worthy. Speaking of trail-worthy vehicles, this is Derek and his LJ, and it just makes everything look easy. Everyone was very jealous of this guy, but he just has skills. Out here in Arizona, mud is a godsend. Where I'm from in Florida, that's all that we have, so everyone was excited to get into this mud pit. Except for me. I avoid it like the plague, but after getting dogged on by these guys, sure enough, I had to go in. My first run was terrible, so I made sure that I went as far back as I could and just pedaled to the metal right through this thing. Derek put his wife Ashley in the driver's seat, and she did not disappoint at all. We all gave our Jeeps a Nature's paint job, so it was time to wash them off in the Nature's car wash. Shortly after this, we just headed over to the water crossing. While we were out, the LJ was having a little bit of trouble, so we stayed behind them just to make sure that they made it through the water. The water crossing came to an end, and we soon found ourselves back on the trail, enjoying some of Arizona's most beautiful landscape. This part of the trail was fairly easy. It was just a dirt road, but you got to enjoy the cactus, the rocks, and overall the great day that we had. With Ashley in the driver's seat and Derek spotting, they were able to conquer one of the obstacles that video just didn't do justice. After this, Ashley successfully got through and was on to the next obstacle. I decided to take the harder obstacle, and in hindsight, maybe shouldn't have. I've been having some problems with my steering since one of our last adventures, so I didn't have the utmost confidence right here. Hindsight is 2020 and I should have kept going, but instead I let the Jeep rock. With a little help from my spotter, I was able to overcome the three-wheeling and get back down over the obstacle and onto the next. This part was challenging for me because I had just gotten done three-wheeling on the other obstacle, and right after that was this one. You can't see it, but right behind me is a cliff, so I was very subtle with all of my movements. Not to mention still learning the ins and outs of my Jeep and what kind of limitations it has versus the limitations that I have.
A few moments later.
To no surprise, I was pretty much a pansy on this, going very slow and letting the Jeep do its thing. No way was I getting my foot off the brake. But wouldn't you know, Derek with his LJ got through this no problems. There was no hesitation, no nothing, and that's the difference between trusting your rig and having several years in the driver's seat off-road. His family has so much confidence in him that even Emily, his 11-year-old girl, got to sit in the passenger seat. After a little extra navigating, we ended up finding the right way on the trail that we needed to go, and the view was just incredible. Our buddy Jake has been on this trail several times and described this portion as the roller coaster, just a lot of ups and downs and ups and downs. But the entire time the view was great and the company was even better. Some spots got tricky with the loose rock and dirt, as well as some washouts from the previous rain, but overall, this was very easy to do and a very fun time to have. Toward the end of this portion of the trail, there's a fork. One way goes down the easy way and the other way goes down the hard way. Well, we ended up going to the easy way because we heard that the hard way was more made for side-by-sides. While we were there having some lunch, we saw these people winching themselves up. Apparently they tried driving from the bottom to the top and got stuck halfway up there. It took them a little over an hour to get fully winched up, and at the end of it, we gave them mad props. In the spirit of these guys, we ended up going the harder way on this portion of the trail where a huge rock is in the way and you have to try to get up this boulder. First, Abe wanted to tackle it so badly, so we let him. And after a couple of times, he had no problem getting up. James was the definition of, I've got the mods, I can do it. It took him a couple of times, but eventually he got up. Maybe not as gracefully as he thought that he was going to, but handled it like a champ. Jake has been on this trail several times and made us all look bad. He ended up getting up this with more grace than all of us combined. And here comes Derek, again in his LJ, making this look easy. It was his first time doing it, and he crawled up with all the grace that Jake did. I wasn't going to go on this portion of the trail, mainly because I wasn't 100% confident on my steering. But after a couple of name calls, the boys got me pressured into doing it. And I'm glad that they did, because Bob took this like a champ, and I felt good about myself. At the end of the trail was two options, and we chose the rocky water crossing. Here is where we accumulated the majority of our trail damage that we've had since we got the Jeep. Each bump hurt the soul just a little bit more, but at the end of the day, we're glad that we did it. However, I don't recommend doing this if you want to keep your Jeep in pristine condition, because you will have trail damage no matter how good you are. Luckily, I had the metal cloak, undercloak installed, which took the majority of the beating. My GoPro started to die at the end of the trail, but we were able to take a few pictures. While we were airing up, Derek had noticed a group of ladies looking lost at the end of the trail. Turns out that they were stranded after a side-by-side rental trip, so we offered them a ride back to civilization. Of course, we had to take a picture because no one else would believe that we found a bachelorette party out in the middle of nowhere, and we helped them back to the city. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe so we can see you out on the next trail.